Hey YouTube and Reddit, so I've collected some data from asking different Filipinos online about what they think about Canada, and I've composed a list and put how many people said the same thing. Now, if someone said it's a great place to live and they said it was a good place to live, I just counted it as two good places to live, because to me it's pretty much the exact same thing. Also, the list I made or the list I put together was copy and paste from several other people, and I never went about to properly spell check it. Not that I'm a great speller anyways, and it never occurred to me until after I put it into images that the spelling was really atrocious. So just, I guess, ignore the bad spelling, and we'll just go through it anyways together, so shouldn't affect anything. So let's jump right in and look at these lists. Alright, so for the top 10 things that won the most, we have cold weather, and it had 24. Um, and I guess, yeah, Filipinos think that it's cold in Canada, which is true to the most part. Compared to the Philippines, in the colder months, it gets really cold here versus there. Like when I was in the Philippines, people wore winter jackets and plus 20. Uh, I mean, the other day with wind chill, it was like negative 35 here. But, I mean, it's February. January and February are the coldest months here in New Brunswick. Now, if you go to places like BC, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's some places where it's in the positives all year round. According to my uncle, which lived in Abbotsford, he says it only snowed once the whole year last year, and it was like a tiny amount of snow. So, yeah. The next thing that was said was there was 24 votes for nothing. So I'm not really sure how to take that, but maybe they just meant they knew nothing. That's how I took it. And then there was 15 for good, so I'm assuming they mean, like, in general, it's just a good place. But I don't really know. I wasn't sure how to correctly categorize that either. And then there was 11 votes for a good place to live. So they thought it was a good place to live, which doesn't surprise me. Many Filipinos come across to live here. Another 11 for a good place to work. So like those three all side by side. So you could arguably maybe group them together to make 37. And then another 11 would be for polite people. So they thought there was a fair amount of polite people. Although I think culturally we may be a little politer. I think the average person is probably just as polite no matter where you go in the world. And I truly do believe that. And there's 10 votes for beautiful scenery and landscapes. Well, there's people that picked beautiful scenery, and other people that picked beautiful landscapes. I just chose to combine them because in my mind they're the same thing. Yeah, there's 10 for that, and then there's 9 votes for snow. So obviously we get snow in some parts of Canada, most parts of Canada. But like I said, in BC, I think there's some spots that never get snow. And then there's 8 votes for opportunities. So you could kind of argue maybe that goes with the good votes of before, because they're thinking about Canada as an opportunity, like a good place for them to work and live, and many opportunities for people to live here, which is true. But it does give you a mindset of how they're thinking. And then there are 7 votes for clean, which I do agree it's a lot cleaner here from when I was there. But I don't think that's just is generally cleaner here and generally dirtier there. Well, it is, but I mean, like, it comes down to the people there have less desire to maintain and keep their area clean there. Where here, like, for the most part, more people are willing to keep their areas clean. Like, people, yes, here will throw garbage on the trails or whatever, and but the thing is, people maintain their own personal area much better here than there. Like I seen people there, they'll just take garbage out from their house and dump it on the grass area in front of their property. Like they don't care that it looks terrible, but it's not in their property, right? So who cares? I guess is what they're thinking. And yeah, so that would be the top 10 things. But yeah, and I guess some of those things I just said in that last 10, I'd like to point out, were just what I viewed. Maybe it's not like that across the whole Philippines. Um, yeah, so we'll move on to the next part of the list. Alright, so then we got, for the next part of the list, after the top 10, we got Canadians with 6 votes. There are Canadians in Canada, so that's a pretty accurate. Another 6 voted for bad. Now, I'll get back to the bad thing when we get down to a later part, but I think it's related to this other one that's going to be coming up here soon. And then for the marijuana, legal marijuana, we have 5 votes. I'm actually kind of surprised they really knew about this. I didn't think the rest of the world really paid attention to Canada and marijuana like that, but doesn't surprise me either. Then maple syrup is at 5. We do have maple syrup here, but I think the U.S. produces a decent amount of maple syrup too, especially around like in the New England area. Another 5 votes for it being far away. I mean, it is far away. It's basically on the other side of the world. I think it's like a 13-hour plane flight. I mean, I did fly there, but I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's 13-hour flight time. Then, yeah, so this is the one I was talking about where the bad is related to, leaving garbage in the Philippines. There's 4 people that said it. I don't actually know the story. I didn't really look into it, but from how I heard it, and like I said, I haven't done my own research on this, some private company sent these containers to the Philippines, and it was registered as something, recyclables I think it was, but when they opened it up it was full of toxic garbage. And Canada and the Philippines have been trying to discuss how to take that garbage back, because the Philippines shouldn't have to deal with it, or how Canada is going to pay them to compensate it, one or the other. Like they're trying to work out a deal. To my understanding, it's a private Canadian company that did it, and not the Canadian government or an everyday Canadian. And a lot of Filipinos think that it is just like the Canadian government just tried to dump garbage here. Tried to dump garbage in the Philippines. I could be wrong on that information though, but that's what was like given to me or told to me about it. And so a lot of Filipinos have negative views about that, even though in regard it doesn't really affect them or the overall value of their country, and considering how many of them have little respect for garbage in their own country, it kind of surprises me that they have that opinion. But anyways, we'll move on. Healthcare has 4 votes. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, everyone knows Canada and like Europe for having really good healthcare. I think it's one of the best things about being in Canada, honestly. And I hope Canada builds upon its healthcare options. I got a piece of hair sticking up here, don't I? Look at that. Apparently we have a hot prime minister that has 4 votes. Doesn't really surprise me. He's always been kind of like advertised as that. There's 3 votes for responsible government. I do think it's fairly responsible compared to other parts in the world, but I think that's opinion is dropping. 3 for winter. That doesn't surprise me. We do get winter in most parts of Canada, pretty much like 95%, and the more northern areas get winter for a long time. Oh yeah, on that topic though, I should have mentioned in the cold spot, but Canada gets some really warm summers too, like where I am. It climbed to like I think it was like plus 35 last year at one point, like through the summer, which is pretty warm. Okay, the next one is Prime Minister looks like a Disney character, has 3 votes. I never heard of that before, and I thought it was really strange when I had 1, and then I had 3. And I spoke to my friends about it, and they said, yeah, they heard that before, but I've never heard it. So people think Justin Trudeau looks like a Disney character. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Niagara Falls had 3 votes. Doesn't surprise me. It's a well-known like natural beauty. Maple Trees has 3 votes. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And maple trees look beautiful, and in fall they're known for. Justin Bieber has 3 votes. Surprised that's not higher up. Yeah, so further down the line we have 2 for hard to go to. So apparently they find it hard to come to Canada. Now, to my understanding, and I could be wrong again, because I'm often wrong on a lot of stuff, mostly because I'm just stupid, but Canada is one of the easier countries to get to. There's another 2 votes for jobs. I think that goes with the earlier ones of like a great place to work and stuff like that. It's seen as an opportunity, so this in general is just kind of a vote for opportunities. 2 votes for hockey. I'm kind of surprised how little people point that out, but yeah. Now another 2 votes for maple leaf. I guess that goes with maple trees and maple syrup, kind of. Another 2 votes for no corruption. Now I do think that we do have corruption in Canada, and it's probably at an all-time high in my whole life. But I don't think corruption here is really still that bad. So I think they're kind of correct on that. And I think the whole corruption thing will probably start to improve in the next couple of years. I could be wrong. 2 for tourist spot. So some of them see it as a tourist spot and not a move to location. 2 for French. I'm actually surprised that people managed to point out the French thing, because a lot of Filipinos I've spoken to in the past have had no idea that there was a lot of French people here. They just think of us as like a second U.S. 2 votes for 4 seasons. Not everywhere has 4 seasons in Canada, but yeah, a lot of places do. And I'd say that the Philippines kind of has 3 seasons to it. I mean, it has its dry season, its wet season, and in between there's kind of like a colder season. And I mean, I don't mean super cold, just cooler. Yeah, and then so we move on. Then there's 2 votes for Celine Dion. Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I didn't think that many people still knew about her. 2 for Big Country. I mean, I guess we are the probably 2nd or the 3rd largest country. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember. 2 for Adventurous. It's kind of surprised me, because I kind of think of the Philippines as an adventurous location, not so much Canada. So that's neat. I suppose there is a lot to adventure and see in Canada with such a small, or like not as dense populated areas. So I guess that's kind of true. I guess I just don't explore enough here. Or maybe there's something said about going to a new place that makes it seem more adventurous. And number 2 for Autumn Leaves. I think that's kind of similar to the Maple Leaves thing. But anyways. Now the rest of these items listed, I'm just going to try to like speed through real quick, because they all only had 1 vote. So none of these had multiple votes. We have like Arctic Circle, Alaska. Alaska's funny because we don't have Alaska in Canada. That's a U.S. thing. Autumn Colors, Armed Forces, apparently some song, America Junior. So you see this as a small U.S. They think the United States is America, but there's many countries in America. Big Airport, Beavers, Benefits. See another one for like opportunity type thing. Blame Canada song from South Park movie. Not sure what that means. I'm sure it's something I don't understand. Banff, Culture. Not sure what they mean by that. Everywhere says culture. Characters, Canada flag. Yeah, Canada flag's part of Canada. Candy apples, cashew nuts, Catholic. We actually have a huge geez, what's it called? I don't remember, but we have the English version of Christianity here mostly everywhere. Catholic is mostly in the French areas. Corpse, Christian. Yeah, we are mostly Christian. Chocolates, Drama, Double Double, Degrassi High, Dollar Salary. I don't know what dollar salary means. Maybe it means, I don't know. Drake, effective government, or efficient government. I guess we do. English, expensive telecommunication. That is very true. A, food, firemen, flood, Filipinos live there. It's true, some Filipinos do. Hopefully when they decide to become Canadians, they choose to be Canadian and not Filipino. Nothing wrong with expressing your heritage, but once you join a nationality, you should, in my opinion, become that nationality. Not change all your culture, but you should yeah, your allegiance should change. Gorgeous, Goblin, good place for immigrant. See more for that opportunity thing. Gorgeous ladies. I don't know. I think there's gorgeous ladies everywhere in the world. Good economics. So the next part of the list, giant house spiders. I don't think so. I've never seen a spider bigger than my pinky in Canada. When I was in the Philippines, I seen a friggin' spider the size of my hand. I'm kind of confused what they mean about giant house spiders. Oh yeah, and for the about the they said Roman Catholic or whatever they had there, Catholic Christian. I remember I was gonna say we're mostly Anglican here. I could be wrong, but yeah, I'm pretty sure most Canadians are Anglican. Um, Giant moose. We do have mooses, although I think all mooses are giant, so I don't think they're more giant than where somewhere else might have a moose. I don't know. Do other places have mooses? Doesn't matter. Help, high salary, high cost of living, honorable police. I think that's very true. Like for the police, I've only ever had one bad incident with the police, and I've dealt with the police quite a bit in my life. And I called and made a complaint, and I was treated very well about it. That's a good story I should tell sometime, actually. And I thought everything was handled pretty well after that. I think the police officers just had a really bad day that day. I don't really blame them. We all have shitty days. It's unfortunate, though, when they're giving bad customer service, it's seen as like, I don't know, like some kind of like hate thing from them, but anyways, I think they just everyone needs to give police officers more credit. Something about Hindi Manit or something new Dune. I don't know what that is, but Jim Carrey, Kirkland, laughs, lakes, low rate of crime. I actually think parts of Canada have a very high rate of crime. I could be wrong, especially in the territories. I think they have really high rates of crime, especially towards Indigenous people. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's to my understanding. Low discrimination. I would say that would have been more accurate like 5 years ago, but I think discrimination in general is on an all-time high and like building up. And I think that's on both sides of the field, not just towards minorities, even towards the majorities. Like people just have this strong disconnect, and they think that the other is always after them, and it really sucks. Large expanse of wildlands, moose. I really should have combined that with giant moose. Oh well, my mistake. Mix of people. Yeah, there's quite a big mix of people in Canada, especially around the big cities. It has really diverse areas, but a lot of places that are smaller, like even New Brunswick, there's very little diversity, and you'll notice it a lot more. To be honest, though, the diversity from when I little is definitely growing. Like I grew up in a school, my elementary, and there could have been a few Asian kids, but I don't really remember any. And I remember when we got these, I think they were Somalians, or no, Ethiopians, and a friend of mine, or he was a friend at the time, Shushkin, I think is how you say his name. Him and his family and others from there had come here, and they were the first black kids I ever seen at school. And before that, I was always just white in my life. Like I only ever seen white people other than on movies. Like I was convinced every black actor on movies was Will Smith. I really liked Will Smith. Actually, still really like Will Smith as an actor. I guess you could say I was a little racist as a kid. Probably a little racist now, but anyways, my wife would definitely agree. Now it's, geez, like, I'm sure someone will call me racist for this, but I used to kind of like try to see if I could statistically balance out what Statistics Canada said. So like say like how many Asians there were, and when I was at Walmart, I'd count my customers, and often like 1 in 3 customers would be like Asian. And I know there's not that many Asians in New Brunswick, but that's how many would end up coming through most days. And I was like, geez, that's a lot. Or it might have been just one particular day that was like that, but I remember that came up once when I was counting them. And I was really surprised. That's how many Asians came through my cash. Not that that really means anything. And I see a lot more black people nowadays, and I've realized that there's always been a black population in New Brunswick. I just apparently never seen it really as a kid. Anyway, so migration of workers to Canada, that's a true thing. Nature, yeah, we have nature. Poutine, surprised that doesn't come up more, honestly. Maybe people don't know what poutine is in the rest of the world. Progressive country, I would say that's... I think people associate liberalism with progressive, and I think that we are very liberal here. Even our conservative government is very liberal. But I wouldn't necessarily say we're progressive. We're not regressive either, though, so that's just how I have. Like, sometimes when you go a little too one way on the political spectrum, you end up having negative effects, and that's kind of how I feel like we are right now in Canada. Prince Edward Island. Yeah, we have Prince Edward Island. I'm surprised. I don't think too many people knew of Prince Edward Island that outside of Canada. Peaceful. It is fairly peaceful. Panoramic places. I think they mean like easy to take pictures of. Reliable. I think it's reliable here in Canada. Royal Mounted Police. Surprised anyone would point that out. Yeah, I'm proud of our Mounties. Robin somebody. I don't know who that is. Sports. Safe home. Salmon, yeah, shopping, small population. I don't think we have a small population for our area. We have a small population, but we are 30 million or so. Actually, it might be like 35 million strong now. I haven't looked at our population in a while. Stagnant economy. I don't think so, 100%. Like, we don't have the greatest economy, but I think for the most part our economy is still growing. At least in the East Coast, I've noticed an increase in things. Actually, coincidentally, ever since they had problems out west, I've noticed kind of an improvement over here in the east. It's sad to say, but their losses were our gains. Social security, similar to the U.S., true. Sean Medides or whatever, I don't know who he is either. Toronto. Surprised more people didn't say Toronto, because it's probably the most popular known city in the world, probably next to Montreal. Travelers, yeah. Toblerone. I'm really surprised that's even on there. But my wife and her family like Toblerone, so maybe they're on something. Volunteer. Yeah, we volunteer a lot. I could be wrong, but I think I volunteer at the Nashville Kinsman Center. I think they once told me that Canadians volunteer more than anyone else in the world, but I could be wrong. White people. Yeah, there's lots of white people here. I mean, we basically, when the British or the English came over, they pretty much populated the whole place and moved out the indigenous, or however you want to say that, massacred them or whatever. I don't think it was necessarily a massacre, but they did die from murder, war, famine, and disease, and relocation, stuff like that. Want to go there, so apparently only one person wanted to go there. I think a lot of those were they wanted to go there. Okay, let's go over the sources of data. So, I probably should have verified these numbers because I just counted them as I went along and tallied these from people to ask around the internet. So I never actually confirmed that these numbers added up, and but I didn't make a mistake. So who knows? There may have been a mistake. I only went one time and redid it when I realized that I'd lost some data, but I never actually went back after that. Yeah, and I have no idea how I lost the data, so I apologize for that. So yeah, I had a total of 292 people answer. I was going to try to go up to 2,000 people, but I realized around 150 people that it wasn't going to happen. Because basically at first I was able to find people all over the internet to ask, and there was no problem. Like, I spent so long on just one site, and it was just so easy, and after that, just plummeted downhill. And I wasn't able to. I probably got to spend a lot more time on Reddit to get more people than I had on Reddit, but I think I was kind of exhausted at asking that point, because I went to Reddit last for some reason. Anyway, so total was 292. For the sources of where I went to get them is Chat Hour, I got 127 at. Reddit, I got 70. Like I said, I probably could have spent way more time getting more. Probably could have got like 300 or more at Reddit if I really focused on it. Wire Club got 34. I'm kind of surprised Wire Club was so high because I don't remember a strong Filipino community there. I spend a lot of time on Wire Club and Chat Hour, so yeah. And then there's My Free Cams. Yes, I know what that is. And if you guys know what that is, shh. But yeah, I asked 2 people there. They both claim to be Filipinos, the ones I asked. I basically went and clicked on all the Asians and asked them. But I suspiciously am not sure if those 2 were Filipinos, just because of the way the conversation went. But I registered them regardless. Facebook, I got 25. Some of these were relatives and some of them weren't. Yes Chat. I don't even remember what that site is now, actually. I got 26 from there. Lost Data is 8. Gender, so we had 61 males. Females is 199, mostly female, and then 32 data lost. Some of the things weren't data lost either. I think why I lost track a little bit when that happened, the time when I went and rearranged it, is when someone didn't tell me something, I just didn't record it. Like, I didn't record it as anything, and then I just thought it would sort itself out. So ages, 16 people were teens. 138 were in their 20s, 64 were in their 30s, 29 were in their 40s, 15 were in their 50s, 2 were in their 60s, and 28 lost data. Places of current living. So this is, I asked them where they currently lived. So they had to be Filipino from the Philippines. This is where they were currently living. So 191 lived in the Philippines, 26 lived in Canada, 15 lived in the USA, 5 lived in Nigeria, 1 lived in Western Europe. That's how they registered. They just said Western Europe, so I'm not sure where. 1 in the UAE. I'm actually surprised there wasn't way more in the UAE. 53 lost data. Okay. So I guess what does all this data mean, and what did I get from it? So I wasn't sure what I was going to get from this when I did it, or why I was really doing it. It was just something I was doing. I thought maybe I'd get a video out of it, and I am, but I don't think it's going to be a great video. But I guess I kind of paid attention to the differences between males and females and what they were saying. I noticed there's quite a bit of difference. The males tended to be the more negative ones and had the least amount to say. The males had a wider range of age. Like, there seemed to be males in all spectrums of the age, where the females tended to be almost all in their 20s, some in their 30s, and some in the teens, but mostly all were in their 20s, and they all seemed to have a very positive opinion about Canada, and they almost all had, like, in some way were relating to coming to Canada, or how good Canada was, or the work, or the living life and the opportunities. I found that quite a few females said that, and quite a bit of the females are also ones living outside of Canada, or quite a few of the Filipinos were living outside of the Philippines too. I said that really weird. Quite a few of the female Filipinos are living outside of the Philippines. Versus the male Filipinos, most of them all were in the Philippines. I think the reason I think in the Philippines there's way less males that are interested in the internet or utilize the internet for communication, where females, I think, are more likely to utilize it to try to find ways to leave and just talk to people outside of their country to, like, find ways out. It could be wrong. So that's really what I take from that, and because I'm not really sure what to say, yeah, I guess that's where we're at. I think most of the time Filipino women use the internet far proportionally more than males, and males are on there, but have a very negative view of Canada. Alright, I guess this is the end of the video. Thanks, everybody.